All right, so what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, man. It's your boy. And for this video, we are back in the 6.3 APK test build, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to be taking our first look at Dazzler and Thane, the two new characters that we're going to be getting as a part of the V630 update. It still feels weird kind of saying that because we're only getting two new characters, and for the longest time we've gotten used to the idea of three new characters every update without fail, minimum three, right? But it seems like we're seeing a shift, and instead of three we're gonna start seeing two. And honestly, I'm not complaining about that because the game is saturated to the very brim with characters, and we need more to do with them before we need more characters. So I'm happy with two. And I'm happy with the fact that they went and they revisited the story missions to make those more appealing, to give us something to do that is actually rewarding. And I welcome more updates like these, where we get a few new characters and just more content improvement until we get to a place where we have enough content, rewarding content that is, and then they can start ramping up new characters to get their bag. Okay, so that being said, let's talk about it. We're going to be talking about how these characters function, their skill effects, and what they can offer to your roster, why you should or shouldn't get them, and how you can acquire them. Okay, so first and foremost, we're going to take a look at Dazzler, character that came out of nowhere. Many people were not expecting her a part of this update, and as you can see right here, she's paywall. I'm actually shocked. I am shocked. I thought she would be free, right? Honestly, I thought she would be free, but she's paywall. So if you want her, which you actually may very well want the character after you see what's in her kit, right? You're gonna have to pay dollars, right? You're gonna have to go get the X-Gene sub. They want to make this more appealing because it doesn't have that many characters. And from the list here, it's realistically just Namor, right? You can get Weapon X from the mentioned mission. So yeah, they want to make this thing more appealing. So I understand why they put her in here and why they made her as good as you're about to see that she is on paper. At least we'll test her out in the coming days before the update, so look out for that. Keep in mind, everything you see here is subject to change because this is just the APK. Okay, then we have Thane. Now this one kind of upset me a little bit, and you're going to see why in a bit. So just like Dazzler, Thane is actually a paywall character, and the way you unlock him is by going here and paying some money, swiping your credit card, and you can unlock the character. Now, I'm not upset because he's paywall, right? I'm upset because he's a character that has immense amount of power in the comics, and I just personally wanted him to be a world boss. So I feel like this is a missed opportunity for him. He could have been a tier 2 knitted that we unlocked by beating him in World Boss Ultimate. However, they decided that they wanted to make him a paywall character. Go figure, right? However, don't lose your cool just yet, guys. There may very well be a way to get at least one of these characters, if not both of them. We'll have to wait and see. The reason why I say that is because there is going to be a Season 4 Future Pass via, you can see right here, right? These new icons that are coming in basically tells us that we're going to see a Season 4 Future Pass. There's going to be an event shop where you can get a Mega Tier 2 ticket like we have been seeing for the past couple months. So don't lose your cool just yet. We could very well see them do a repeat of what they did for Red She-Hulk by giving away 30 biometrics for one of these characters. Hopefully it's for the one that you guys want, but that is something for you to keep in mind. It is pretty shitty though, not gonna lie, that two new characters are coming in and both of them are paywall. If this update wasn't bringing in the story mission changes, people would be shitting all over this update already just because of the acquisition. So anyways, let's wait and see what the future pass holds. Hopefully they're generous and they give us a couple biometrics for one of these characters, or both. Maybe they will, right? And then you can just grind the tokens like you would throughout the month, and you can get a Mega Tier 2, and then you just have to figure out a 6-star Mega Rank Up ticket for one of these characters, right? So let's take a look at Dazzler, see what she's offering and why you may or may not need or want this character. So first and foremost is her Tier 2 passive, Enchanting Stage. So she's going to be a support character for mutants. She is actually looking really good. You can see right here, mutant allies ignore dodge 70%, and then she increases damage dealt to boss type by 65%. We've never seen this, right? The 65% damage buff applies specifically to boss types. So we're talking World Boss Ultimate, Giant Boss Raid, maybe ABX, maybe Squad Battle, and possibly, well, yeah, I would say possibly Shadowland bosses like the Kingpin boss, the Rocket Raccoon boss, that kind of stuff. But the most notable thing here is, yeah, this is probably for a Giant Boss Raid, which means we could be seeing more Giant Boss Raids, fingers crossed, right? But most of you guys are going to find use for this tier 2 passive here in World Boss Ultimate, which is pretty good, right? So you could ideally put her alongside somebody like if you have her, right? I'm not saying you should go out of your way to get her, but Kitty Pryde has the best leadership for mutants, that 55% attack, right? So you put her with Miss here and you're looking at some pretty insane numbers, just saying. Anyways, moving on to the one skill, has an 80% chance to miss because she's blinding you with her beauty, right, and the light. Anyways, 80% chance to miss. By the way, these are both Shadowland abilities. That's not going to apply on World Boss, if only, right? Then right here we have an attack buff, basically a frenzy buff. So 35% attack and defense. We got 1% all speed and 35% crit. However, it's 2 seconds and it's a 30-second cooldown. The heal is nice, but we have to see if this is a refreshing buff, then that would make sense. Otherwise, 2-second duration, 30-second cooldown. Doesn't make sense. Not good at all unless this is constantly refreshing, right? If it's refreshing, that's really good because it means if you get debuffed by somebody like Thanos in World Boss Ultimate who strips your buff, then this thing will just constantly reapply itself, right? So we'll see if it actually reapplies itself when we test it out in a preview here, and we will test it out in some gameplay probably tomorrow. Okay, so look out for that. I just want to go over everything briefly. So we have another 80% chance to miss here, and then we have a 35% all attack for 10 seconds. So this one you can keep up basically all the time because it's a 14-second cooldown. So all you really have to do is just max out your skill cooldown or your reduced cooldown duration, and that's going to be 7 seconds. Every 7 seconds you can use that. And then we have a 100% chance to miss plus invincibility, which is actually not bad. Pretty good, I should say, right? And then we have immunity to silence and immunity to blind. This is pretty good. The immunity to the silence is pretty good. The immunity to blind kind of makes sense, right? That's the ability that Daredevil should have. Just saying. And then crit rate is just pretty much whatever, right? So let's jump in and let's take a look at her skills and see how they look in the preview. Oh wow, her entrance is quite flashy, very retro. Okay, interesting. You can just, it only takes a second. That's actually pretty good. You might actually want to use that to trigger your proc. We'll see. Can we use it and then, okay. Does it not refresh? Oh, it refreshes if you stay. Okay. Okay, this makes sense. So basically she throws out a disco ball and the buff just keeps on refreshing. I wonder how long it refreshes for. The radius on it is quite large. So in World Boss Ultimate, you might just have this buff all the time. If it's a 15-second like duration where it's just constantly refreshing, that's pretty cool. I actually really like this. So if you step out of the dome, you have 2 seconds, and then if you step back in, you get it back again. That's pretty cool. That's actually pretty cool. I like that. Okay, so we get an iframe there. I was wondering how they were gonna make her different than Jubilee, and I like this. I like this so far. So slight iframe. This one has a slight iframe as well, and this one has no iframe. Okay, cool. Let's see this. Okay, iframe. I see a gap, but for the, ooh, that is beautiful. That is actually stunning. I can see a lot of females gravitating to this character, and I'm not gonna lie, she's captivating me as well. This looks so cool. My gosh. Okay. Let's take a look at the 5th skill here. Okay, that's not as flashy as the 4th skill, but it's still pretty cool, and it has invincibility, so I rock with it. And after the skill ends, there's about 3 seconds when you can use your other skills if you want to, because This one has the iframe, so you don't need to worry about when you use this. Interesting. I like her. I actually like her. I was thinking that I might pass up on a character like this just because I thought she was just going to be a copy paste of Jubilee, who I already have, and I think Jubilee is a good character. But I think they actually did a pretty good job of making her different than Jubilee, both in animation and what she offers from the tier 2 passive. So I definitely think she has a lot of value, right? We just have to wait and see how much damage she does and basically how long this buff lasts in like world boss and stuff like that. But I think this is pretty cool. And I don't think the disco is going to be like something that the boss can actually destroy. So this buff might actually be even better than this buff right here, right? Because this can be taken from you. So can the invincibility. So that's something you need to keep in mind. Like if you go up against Thanos, or in World Boss Ultimate, if you get hit by the Purifying Wind, that like that lightning that flies across the map, if you get hit by that, that can strip your invincibility and take away pretty much all of your buffs. But this thing right here, since it's a refreshing buff, if you ever lose the buff, you can just walk back into that disco circle and then you can just get the buff right back. So that's actually pretty cool. All right, let's take a look at my guy Thane and see what he's bringing to the table, since he's a paywall and he's not a world boss. I'm still pretty bitter about that, right? I definitely think he should have been a world boss right beside his dad right there, right? So anyways, tier 2 passive, skill damage, bonus damage, decreased damage received by 30%. That's pretty decent. Actually, I would say better than decent, right? But when you look at Dazzler's tier 2 passive, that's offering so much to her allies, his just kind of looks bleak by comparison. Kind of looks like what you would expect. Whereas for her, I did not expect her to have such a good tier 2 passive, or any kind of passive that was supporting anyone that much, right? So we got stun here, we got silence and bind, and then this one right here we have amberize, which is going to be a new type of crowd control, because if you don't know much about Thane, he can actually like basically trap people in a crystal, and basically he can just keep them there forever, and they're just constantly in a state of living death and they cannot escape. So this is gonna be that. Plus he has a HP recovery 30%, which is really good. Defense down stacks up to 50% for 7 seconds. So basically you can keep this up pretty much all the time with max cooldown, which is 14 seconds. And then we have 5 seconds of immunity, and that's pretty good. And then we have, okay, nice. So we have a frenzy buff here, and then just standard stuff, burn and bleed. I was hoping for a little bit more than that. Then the 5th skill, amberize again, so more crowd control, really good for world boss. The ignore dodge is kind of low, would have liked more from him, but he has invincibility, so that's actually pretty good. Okay, so 4-star passive kind of disappointed me, right? Considering he's Thanos' son. Thanos has one of the best 4-star passives in the game, like, and probably one of the best we'll ever see. Like, look at this thing, right? That's part of the reason why Thanos is so annoying, because this is 10 seconds and it's when he's attacking, especially in this uniform. Even without the uniform, like, it was still a pretty good, like, I'm saying 4-star passive, still one of the best in the game, right? And that's part of the reason why he's just so annoying, because between iframes and the immunity that his other skills offer, his 4-star passive is just so good. His kind of pales by comparison, just because this 70% chance to penetrate, super armor, barrier, shield, all damage, immunity, and invincibility is only lasting for 5 seconds. There's a 10-second cooldown, so you could keep this up 50% of the time. But then if you take a look at Cable, for example, right? Cable has pretty much the exact same 4-star passive, but this is just always there, always being applied, never on cooldown, right? So that is something you need to keep in mind. It's a weaker version of what Cable and Quicksilver has. Where's my guy Quicksilver? Right, Quicksilver has, I believe, the exact same amount of penetration, yep, and no cooldown, right? So that kind of sucks. And I believe Wanda has the same exact thing on her tier 2 passive. Might actually be a little bit less. That's her tier 3. Yeah, so 60%. So Wanda has pretty much the exact same thing. However, I don't think Wanda's actually has a cooldown. Like, for example, it says here there's a 7-second cooldown time, but it doesn't tell you how long the penetration actually lasts for, right? Whereas with Thane, it specifically says it lasts for 5 seconds, and then there's a 10-second cooldown. I've never really noticed, like when I use Scarlet Witch in PvP, her not penetrating, because there's just so many hits that she's just always penetrating, right? Whereas with Thane, we'll have to wait and see if it's the case for him. His leadership is actually really good. You can see it's a debuff attack type lead, kind of like Silver Surfer, where he removes all debuff and he gives himself he gives all allies rather, right, a 25% attack buff. We go look at Silver Surfer here. Where's the Savage? Why didn't I have my tier 3 on this account? Anyways, you can see it's just a little bit weaker, He gets more attack but no defense and no speed. Also, I was kind of disappointed when I saw this. He's actually a super villain. I was hoping that he would be neutral, right? Kind of like Destroyer, right? But I guess he's following in Daddy's footsteps. He's a villain. He's being trained by Ma, right? Like these guys, I don't know, man. I feel like sometimes when you have a character like these guys that can play both sides, they should end up as neutral. Like even Deadpool. I think Deadpool should be a neutral character instead of a superhero. But that's besides the point, right? This is what we're getting. Overall, his kit on paper looks okay. I think it could have been better, right? I definitely think entrance is good. Definitely not as flashy as Dazzler, that's for sure. That's dazzling. Anyways. Okay, so the one skill is actually pretty cool. Has an iframe in the middle there. And then after you slide through them, okay, there's a lingering explosion. Kind of like a Shadowland skill. I wouldn't start off the skill until I have my immunity or my invincibility up. Let's see the 2. So this is not the one that has the Amberize. It has Silence, and it will guard break just standard enemies. Small iframe on it as well. It looks cool. I like it. But this is not something you're going to be able to do to world bosses. Let's take a look at the 3rd here. So this is the one that has Amberize, right? Okay, that one has the Okay, so I guess if you want to use the 2 and the 1, you'd have to open with the 3, right? Yeah, you'd have to open with the 3. Okay, let's see the 4. Okay, it looks like he's tapping into a little bit of the Phoenix Force there. That looks really cool. That destruction at the end there kind of reminds me of Molten Man or Red She-Hulk. Ooh, okay, cinematic. Oh, that looks really cool. So it looks like the let me just check real quick. It looks like the Amberize is gonna work the same way as Time Freeze and that kind of stuff, where it just basically freezes them in place for a couple seconds, as to be expected. I don't know if he's gonna be as strong as many people would want him to be, but keep in mind, Thane in this particular like outfit that he has, like this armor is actually keeping his power in check, like nerfing him, right? So maybe we could see, again, he's new, he's paywall, so you don't want to hear it, but maybe in the future we could see a Thane without this outfit, without this uniform, without this armor, that's way stronger. Maybe that's a setup for what they're trying to do, but overall he looks good. He looks good. It just really comes down to how hard he hits, right? Because if he's not hitting really hard, many of you guys may actually want to pass up going for another DPS character for a support character like Dazzler to buff all your mutants. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap it up right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave me your thoughts in the comments. I'll catch you guys in the next one.